I invite you to remember the truth with me, the truth that this is a spiritual universe, that each one of us is a spiritual being having a human experience, and that we are one with this beautiful thing we call life, the thing itself. And knowing that and understanding that, I am able to make my declaration of good on behalf of each and every person here, on behalf of our families and our friends in this world, in this community, as I declare that right here, right now, this very moment, we are engaged in something wonderful. The planting of what we call seeds of thought. Thoughts of peace, thoughts of health, thoughts of prosperity, thoughts of loving kindness. And as we are able to come together this morning, these seeds that we plant go right into the mind of the universe and must absolutely blossom, bear fruit. This is the way life works. I know it is so, and I give thanks for this truth that we are here to celebrate this morning, and I invite you to join with me in affirming this truth by declaring, and so it is. Thank you, everyone. So we have something wonderful. You know, life is full of miracles, and this morning we got a call that our musician, Jeanette Alexander, wasn't able to be with us this morning, so let's all hold her in our heart with prayers for her quick healing. She had a little mishap yesterday. And Tess arrived, and she is going to sing for us. So welcome, Tess.
Hi, everyone. Happy Sunday. I'm actually a friend of Jeanette's, and I came to hear her, so okay, so hopefully I'm all connected, and I happen to have tracks from my original songs on my phone, so this is my virtual band that I bring with me. And this is called Creation Personified. Oop, it's not connected, hold on. Try that again. I think because you played another song and that preempted me. My connection. Bluetooth. And it says that it's connected. I don't know why it's not happening. Somebody could help me with that. Sorry. This is what you get when you get live and unrehearsed.
On the top.
On the top. Okay, let's turn it off. I think I need help.
Push it in the middle.
In the middle?
Yeah.
Where the light is?
It goes on and off.
Okay, that's off. It says connected, so we'll try again.
While we're waiting, let's give Tess a big hand.
Thank you. I think I need a little help here because it's not. I need help. I need help.
It's on.
So it's on and it's showing.
See, make sure this one's turned off completely.
Oh, maybe that's it. You have to disconnect.
Just turn your phone off, Maureen, that will help.
Sometimes it doesn't want to turn itself off.
And don't turn it back on until we're done, okay? Is that on? Now she needs help, okay?
Turn it off.
know when I heard that John Denver come in, it was, we were like,
Okay. Should be off?
should be off,
Should be. Yours should be on.
and mine should be on. Let's try. No? Okay. Okay, talk amongst yourselves. I'm gonna restart my phone now and see if that makes it better. And if not, I'll just do it with my phone. Yeah. More meditation. Did it go through the speaker? I heard you. Hang on. Oops. Okay. And go like that. And back to the Bluetooth is showing connected. Okay, this is our last try. If not, I'm just going to sing it with my phone. Step inside your mind. I'll do like this. Seek and ye shall find all the treasures you've been dreaming of. Gently turn to me. I will set you free. Melt your troubles in the warmth of love. Everything you've ever longed for, you already own. I am so much nearer than your nearest telephone. Just be still and you will hear me. You are not alone. I am you, you are me, we are one. Ask and you'll receive, if you but believe. Life is so much simpler than we know. It's such a rich surprise when we realize faith's the magic fuel that makes things go. Everything you've ever longed for, you already own. I am so much nearer than your nearest telephone. Just be still and you will hear me. You are not alone. I am you, you are me, we are one. Once again. I am you, you are me, we are one. We are the one we've been waiting for. We're the Messiah banging at your door. Look in the mirror, see who's watching you. You are the deity you're praying to. My virtual band solo. Dance if you want. I am you, you are me, we are one. I am you, you are me, we are one. I am you, you are me, we are one. I am you, you are me, we are faith, we are light, we are peace, we are life, we are mind, we are real, we are truth, we are love, we are God, we are now. We are one! Thank you.
Wow, Tess, that was wonderful. You didn't need a band or a microphone. That was beautiful and well worth the wait. So thank you for stepping in. Yeah. So I'm Reverend Kate, and it is my pleasure to welcome everyone to the Center for Spiritual Living Carlsbad. Today, where we understand that there is a power for good in the universe, greater than we are, and we can use it. So, as we begin this morning, I would like to invite Ronnie up to help us with our candle lighting this morning. So, as we light these candles, we're simply reminding ourselves of the underlying spirit of life and the divine unity of all. So first, we light a candle for life. Life is everywhere present, flowing through each and every one of us. There is only one life. That life is God's life. That life is our life now. So please affirm with me, I am life. We light a candle for love. The birth of love happens within each one of us every time we make room for the Christ consciousness in our hearts and recognize our unity. We are points of love within the heart of God. So please affirm with me, I am love. We light a candle for light. The light of God is a presence and the power. We are always walking in the light. We radiate the light of God wherever we are. Please affirm with me, I am light. We light a candle for beauty. We are made in the likeness and image of God. We are each whole, complete, and beautiful, just as we are. We accept the beauty of God's perfection as our perfection now. So please affirm with me, I am beauty. We light the candle for joy. Joy is the very nature of spirit and the true essence of each of us. We celebrate the joy of our own rebirth in the God consciousness. We each bring joy to the world. Please affirm with me, I am joy. We light a candle for peace. Today and every day we open our hearts to peace. We are each a center of peace in our world. Please affirm with me, I am peace. And finally, I invite you to take a moment to recognize your own inner light that is always shining within, as we each honor our own metaphysical path of wholeness, oneness, and mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. Thank you. So I have a few announcements to share today. And first, if this is your first time, or if you haven't been here for a while, hi, Leah. Please stay for fellowship after the service, and please, sign our guest book, update your information if you would like to get our weekly email. Also, every Sunday after the service, we offer spiritual mind treatment or affirmative prayer as our gift to you. So if you have a prayer request today, you can either speak to one of our practitioners or ministers after the service, And who are we today? Yes, we are. We have a full house today. So we have Dr. Maddie and Reverend Lori. I know. Reverend Maureen and practitioner Robert and
Jeff.
special guest
Oh, yeah.
practitioner Jeff Bird
Yeah,
and his wife.
that's right.
Reverend Debby O'Donnell. So we're like, we can do a lot of treatment today. And everything's been going good this morning, so it's all working well. Or you also have the option of just filling out a written request and putting it in the treatment box in the lobby. And then I'll share that with our prayer team who are listed on the back of your program, and we will treat for you this week. So yes, right, special guest, Reverend Debby O'Donnell and her husband, practitioner Jeff Bird. So nice to have you with us today, and I know there are some other people who are here today to see her and to see them, so great. Another announcement, Class 2 mental equivalence will meet today at 11:30. Also, if you haven't filled out your members and friends update form, please do that and turn it in because we need to organize our membership meeting. And then very important, next week is Potluck Sunday. And Reverend Dr. Lori is going to be speaking to us, and I do believe she's going to tell us a little bit about her recent trip to India.
Yes.
And visiting the actual wells that we did some fundraising for. So that's really going to be special. And then next week, Reverend Maureen and Robert have invited us to a party. Friday. This is on Friday afternoon. And are the flyers in the lobby?
They're on the table. I'll put them out.
Yeah, the invitations are on the table, and we're going to celebrate two wonderful things. We're going to celebrate their wedding. They got married off by themselves in Hawaii. And we're also going to celebrate Maureen's birthday. So this really is a community-based spiritual center, in case you haven't noticed. So I do want to thank a few of today's wonderful behind-the-scenes volunteers. So thank you, Pat Zagwin, for the beautiful flowers. Thank you, Practitioner Larry, for being our greeter today. Thank you to Reverend Maureen and Robert for bringing the treats, and to other people who brought more treats too. So. Thank you to Jim for doing our video recording. And thank you to my son Dave, to Larry, to Jim, and to all the people that pitched in and helped us set up today. So. Now, if you could look inside your program and find the group reading, please read it aloud with me. God is all, visible and invisible. One presence, one mind, one power is all. This one that is all is perfect love and perfect abundance. I am an individualized expression of God. I am ever one with His perfect light, perfect love, and perfect abundance. Now we're ready for our group song. What's happening? Yay!
What's happening?
Odie's gonna help us. Yay!
That's a really good question. What's happening?
Yeah.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
I guess I'm not going to have any music, huh? No. A la carte. We are going to sing this a la carte. That's what I call it.
Stand up if you want. It's really
Now,
good.
I have to tell you that I don't recall this song. Oh, okay. We can do this. Let There Be Peace. Oh, I like this one.
It's a good day for me.
I could have written the music to the other one and done it anyway, but okay. Are we ready? Let there be peace on earth and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth. The peace was meant to be with God as our Father. Brothers and sisters are we. Let me walk with my brothers in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my solemn vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
It is a good day for peace. You know, really, that's something that a couple of people have asked me, why don't we ever sing the peace song? So today was the perfect day. Thank you, Honey, to do it twice. For leading it a cappella, it's wonderful. Now, I'd like to invite practitioner Robert up to give us today's inspirational reading.
Everybody hear me?
Yes.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Today's reading is from Eric Butterfield's book, Spiritual Economics, page 30. The medieval mystic, lay monk, Brother Lawrence, coined the illumining phrase, the practice of the presence of God. This is often erroneously thought of as a somber act of religious piety. In the context of Brother Lawrence's experience of working for God while scrubbing pots in the monastery kitchen, it doesn't seem to mean having flashes of mystical insight or even spending long periods in meditation. Oh boy.
Oh, you're getting old, Rob.
I take too many medications. It is said of doctors that they practice medicine. That certainly does not suggest having an emotional experience. It is purely a description of how they make their living. To practice the presence of God does not mean to titillate yourself with some mysterious spirit of God that comes and goes. The presence of God is that of God, which is present, wholly present, ceaselessly present. It never changes. It doesn't come and go. It is. You may change, and like the prodigal son, you may come and go. But as Meister Eckhart says, you are in the far country. The Father is at home. So the practice of the presence of God means continually reminding yourself of the activity of God, ever working in you. As much as the student of mathematics must continually remind oneself of the principles. Make a deeply rooted commitment that you will practice the presence of God substance, ever reminding yourself that you are in the presence of an infinite, eternal substance from which all things proceed. Resolve that you will live and think and live and work as if you really believe that the whole universe of creativity and substance were present in every project of your work and every transaction of your investments as your never failing resource. Practice the presence of God's substance with diligence and persistence, and you begin to realize prosperity. And so it is.
I think what I'd like to do, I'm going to skip the next song because Debby has come all the way from Minneapolis. And so I want to let her talk as long as she wants. And then when she's done, we can sing all we want, right? Okay, so please help me welcome Reverend Debby O'Donnell.
I'm not talking that long, just trust me on that. But I do want to thank everyone who suited up and showed up today to see me. I greatly appreciate it, and I'm getting feedback, so...
Is there a volume on there?
No. Anyway, so thank you all. A guy walks into a bar in New Mexico. Goes up to the barkeep, orders 3 beers. Goes to a table, sits there all by himself, and drinks all 3 beers. Goes up to get his next round of beers, and the barkeep's like, you know, they tend to go flat. So if you want to just order 3, I can pour 1 and give it to you now, and then I'll bring the other 2 over. He's like, no, can't do it. You know, my brothers and I made this agreement that when we moved away from home, we would not give up having beer together every night. The bartender's like, okay, that's good. So this goes on for quite a period of time. And then one day, the gentleman shows up and he only orders 2 beers. So he pours the 2 beers, and the guy comes up to get his second round of beers, and he's like, I know we don't know each other very well, but I want to give you my condolences for the loss of your brother. And he's like, he thinks for a second, he's like, oh, no, my brothers are fine. It's just that my wife asked me not to drink. She didn't say anything about my brothers. Yeah.
Oh, I like it.
So, this philosophy, the philosophy of the science of mind, Ernest Holmes, the founder, wrote that this philosophy is nothing new to the world. It is the law of Moses, the love of Christ, the ethics of Buddha, the morals of Confucius, and the deep spiritual realization of the Hindus. All find an exalted place in this teaching. And I love that idea that we all come together here for different reasons. But we all share one common reason, and that is the idea of that deep, spiritually led, rich life. For more of that. This teaching for me is all about creating a personal relationship with the One. It is about taking full and complete responsibility for who we are, for what we do, for how we act and how we react. this teaching for me is all about balance. Balance of life and work and joy and love and peace and harmony. This teaching is also rich to each and every one of us because it reminds me that we are here to be a beneficial presence to the world. And the world really needs our presence now. And when we get together in community, we get to share our love. We get to share our light. We get to share our deep spiritual relationship. We get to ask those wonderful questions of why this or why that, and discuss it openly from that place of community. And so this teaching for me has just been, it has allowed my life to be one of great wealth. And that's what I'd like to talk about today, is that idea of wealth. I'm going to start with a parable from Jesus, the master teacher, and then move into the new thought idea of wealth. So here we go. Have you all heard that statement that it's easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a wealthy man to enter the kingdom of heaven? I think that's probably put some consciousness of lack into everyone who's really spent time with that statement. It's all full of poverty consciousness. And so why would Jesus state that? It is this story of the wealthy man is in 3 different Gospels. It's in Mark, it's in Matthew, and it's in Luke. And although that one statement seems to stand out, there's a whole lot more to this story, this parable. Jesus made this proclamation to a young man. This young man was very wealthy. And Jesus, he wanted to join Jesus. He wanted to become a disciple. And Jesus told him, you have to sell everything. Sell everything. Give it to the poor, and then you can join us. And the disciples were rather surprised about that. They write that he walked away sad and depressed, totally lost. But there were some things that happened before that statement. Before that statement was made, before he told this man, he told this man, and then right after he told this man, the disciples were like, what's the deal? His first statement to the disciples was, my sons, how hard is it for those who trust in their wealth to enter into the kingdom of God? Isn't that a great question? So it wasn't necessarily about wealth as much as about possessions, about it's hard for those who look to their wealth, to their riches, to their possessions, before they look to God, to the one, to the only one. It's hard to find that connection with the Creator when all of your joy and your love and your happiness is based on your bank account. That's how I interpret that statement. It just changes the whole idea. He goes on to say, and this is of course my version, not Matthew's, trust me. But it goes on to say, he says, truly I say to thee, there is no man who leaves his house or brothers or sisters or yada, 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 for the sake of my gospel, who shall not also receive at the same time 100-fold houses and brothers and sisters and yada, yada, yada. So, because it's a parable and he spoke in metaphors, it seems to me he literally is saying, by turning to spirit first, by seeking thy own counsel, by knowing that love and joy and happiness is a matter of a deeply rooted spiritual connection and not possessions. That the possessions will in and of themselves unfold. they'll just unfold in ways we would not possibly imagine. It's back to that whole idea of seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all things shall be added unto you. So, here's a different interpretation of that famous statement of the needle. It is easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than it is for a man who looks to his wealth as his God to find in it security and happiness. But when he looks to God, when we look within, when we look to that oneness, our wealth should be expanded 100-fold. And we don't have to hold on to it. We can let it go. So, from a Jesus point of view, wealth is not a bad thing. Riches and goodness and all of that isn't a bad thing, as long as it's not the main and first thing. So, here is a definition of wealth found in a metaphysical Bible dictionary called the Revealing Word, which is fairly popular amongst New Thought. True wealth is a state of consciousness, the consciousness of God as our supply. Spiritual wealth expresses itself as love, faith, wisdom, substance, joy, and so on. From that definition, we're already wealthy, because it's all about a state of consciousness. It's about knowing who and whose we are. And when we get that, when we get that in our heart and not just in our head, when we internalize it as our truth, we just need to sit back and allow the mental equivalent of what we want, of who we are, to unfold itself in front of us. I want to spend some time. Eric's book, Spiritual Economics, has a chapter called The Truth About Substance. And he opens that chapter with a quote from Emily Cady. And she wrote, "God is not a being with qualities or attributes, but God is the good itself coming into expression as love, life, power, and wisdom." What she's saying is that God, it's not that God is loving, God is the allness of love. God is not just wise, but God is the essence of all wisdom. And she goes on to talk about the idea that God is not a dispenser of substance, but the ever-present substance that is never apart from us. And that's a subtle but important point. God doesn't just hang out and dispense divine substance whenever, right? It's not like God chooses to be present whenever he just decides to come on down. He decides to come on down and hang out with us. No. It doesn't come and go. It just is. Think about that. It just is all the time. There's not a storehouse someplace, right? It just is. And I love that idea because it is the great equalizer of all. It just is. Always present, totally present wherever we are. Because wherever we are it, experiencing its creation as we are experiencing our life. So, we may pray for healing.
Here's some information.
We may pray for healing. But the truth is, the wholeness of God and the wholeness of God's healing is right where we are. We may be praying for a greater expression of love in our life, but there's no more love to be had than the love right here and right now that we're breathing in. The same goes for abundance. It's like all right here. It's all right here. And if that's a stretch for you, then welcome to the club of Science of Mind. There you go. Just welcome to the club. Because it is a stretch. But that's why we gather, is because it's a stretch. And together, we get to expand. We get to expand together. And we get to remind each other of that truth, that right where we are is exactly where we're supposed to be. It is on holy ground. It may not always feel like that, right? But Mary Morrissey once said, and I love this, the absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence. Right? Just because we're not feeling it doesn't mean it's not right here. It doesn't. We just need to take that conscious breath and speak the truth. Feel the truth. Actually allow the truth to make itself known to ourselves. Eric writes in his book, there is no place in all the universe where substance is any more present or has any less presence than right where you are. And though you can accumulate and store away material riches, there's no way you can amass substance. Riches are just that, but the substance, the joy, the excitement, the gratefulness around substance when you give it away, all of that has nothing to do with anything but you knowing that right where you are, God is. That there is an ever divine flowing of good into our life. When we just decide to accept it. To accept it. You know, I had the opportunity of growing up in this teaching with the founder of this center. I moved down here and stumbled across this center and never ever looked back. And I was going through a bout of unemployment, and Dr. Jane invites me over to her house because she's got a lesson for me. I'm gonna put it that way. And so I'm like, sure, I'll come over. And she's like, and I would like you to bring a bouquet of flowers, please. And I'm thinking, sure, I'm saying, sure, that'll be great. Looking forward to it. And I hang up and I'm like, does she not get the fact I don't have a job? You know, did she forget I'm going to try to be living on unemployment? I mean, what is she thinking? So I buy the flowers, we go over, we sit down, she gives me coffee, puts the flowers in a vase, and then proceeds to say, in this moment, what is the absolute worst thing that could happen? You don't have a job, you don't have any income. What is the worst that could happen to you right now if this doesn't ever change? So I tell her about my mom's basement, and that's the worst. She's like, okay, we got that out of the way. We don't have to think about that anymore, right? She's like, you don't have to think about that. And she's like, so what's the best that could happen? And we kind of put together this plan, right? You're going to spend some time of service to the community. You're going to spend some time giving of your talents on Sunday, which are not singing. Just know that now. And there are many people here that can prove that. And you're going to give of your treasures. And sure enough, I started tithing 10% of my unemployment check. I just did. And she's like, because you're going to give in order to create space for the universe to create. And I thought, okay, I'm not going to make my bills anyway. You know, there's no way I'm going to make my mortgage payment. So, okay, here I go. Let's go do it. And what happened was I gave up the idea of lack. I gave up the idea of a camel passing through the eye of a needle. I gave it up. because I was really busy. I was busy on Sundays, and I was busy during the week, and I was busy taking classes, and yeah, I was busy sending out resumes, but things started to happen, and people called me to do some consulting work or some contract work, and I ended up being of service because I went to some club, wasn't a Rotary Club, but some kind of club, and there was a woman that had some jewelry from Afghanistan that she was selling, and I somehow ended up offering to help her sell her jewelry. And I sat next to a guy whose wife was a recruiter, but he recruited engineers. And so he said, but I'll give her your resume. Well, she knew a guy who had a friend who was looking to hire someone. And that's how I got my next job. It was like, how does this even work? But it works. It works because I did not allow that lack. I did not allow lack into my space. And the universe does not accept a vacuum. It just doesn't accept a vacuum. Even if you look at it from a metaphysical perspective, right? There's no place where there cannot be matter because it messes everything up. So it fills itself up with particles, right? In order to make sure there's no place where there's not some substance. And the same works for us. When we create a space, and we just let that space be there, and we go on, something has to fill up that space. Something has to fill up that space where there was lack thinking. And if we let that space fill up from a spiritual perspective, that's when things get interesting and they unfold in these wild and crazy ways. We've all had that happen, right? Like, somehow it all not only worked out, but it worked out so well when we just like put it away for a little while. My mom used to say, pray to St. Anthony and let it go. And I don't even think Anthony's a saint anymore. But the idea was to let it go. And that was the important part, was letting go. So my message this morning is, wealth isn't bad. Money's not bad. But we are the masters of it. It is not the masters of us. Substance is everywhere. And we allow ourselves to spiritually connect, not only with ourselves, but with each other. And we allow ourselves to take that out to the world and be beneficial to people just because we're not crazy, right? I mean, every now and then, isn't it nice to sit in a room and know you're not the crazy one, right? They're all crazy. We just have to sit there and be. That's our goodness. That's our wonder. So, your assignment, my request of you this week, is to just take something that's bothering you, something that you feel you're not worthy of just yet, and just let it go. Just let it go. Write it down, rip it up, and let it go. And just see the goodness that Spirit brings and the opportunities that Spirit provides to be of service. When I left Dr. James that morning, she gave me the flowers. Yeah, I thought maybe I could return them, but no. She gave me the flowers, and she was like, these are for you because you deserve them, and you're worthy, and you're wealthy, and you're talented, and you are loved. And that's my message for us today, to be that beneficial presence to allow the wealth in and to just let go of any idea of lack. Anything that's you're trying to figure out or fix, just let it go. And let that wealth that is all around you, that wealth which is first cause, that wealth which is, it is all God, all of the time. Even right here in the crazy, it's God. This week, let's do that. Let's just let something go and see what miracle shows up, because it's not a miracle. It's just spirit being spirit. And that's the truth. So it is.
That was so beautiful. So I am looking at the clock and I'm thinking that this is the perfect time right now for us to, especially after that wonderful story about the flowers, because that's what we teach. That as you give, you're just putting it all into circulation. So maybe this is the perfect time for us to just have an opportunity to give to our center, and appreciation and commitment to the idea that we're just in the flow. We're part of the flow of good, and that as we give to support the center, we know that we too are supported in so many beautiful ways. So let's just know that that's the truth. There is good for us. We have enough to share, and as we share, we're just lighting this beautiful flame of abundance, wealth, and setting things into motion. And so it is. And now in your program it says someone's going to help you sing I'm So Blessed.
Sure.
Yes, thank you.
I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed, I am so blessed, I am so grateful, I am so blessed.
It's so great. So I really want to thank Odie and Tess, because some things I just don't know how to do. And I appreciate, and it just shows how much talent there is in this room. It's wonderful. So I'm just going to recap. We have fellowship happening right after the service, so everyone can stay and say hello to everyone else. After that, at 11:30, we'll start our class. Next week is potluck with Dr. Lori, and don't forget to pick up your invitation to the party on Friday. So those are the last minute reminders, and right now I would like to invite you to just, do you want to give closing treatment?
No, you go for it.
Mika?
Sure, you go.
Okay.
Otherwise, we could ask Gloria to spread the mama. She loves it.
Okay. All right. Well, that was enough exchange about who's going to get the opportunity to close out our service with a spiritual mind treatment. And it's my great pleasure to invite you to just take a breath for a moment and know with me that everything that has transpired this morning is really a manifestation of life blossoming, bringing good to all of us, bringing good into this world. And I know and declare that each one of us is more aware, more able to be aware of our oneness, of that presence of good, of spirit that is always with us, that is always in operation through us, because in truth it is us and we are it. This beautiful oneness is always an expression, and we have the ability to use our thinking, our thoughts, our ideas, our habits, our actions to influence the creative process that is always happening. We can, in this very moment, create a new tendency in our life and in the life of the world. And so, I declare right now that each of us is experiencing more and more good in our lives, and that this feeling of good, of enoughness, of wealth, of abundance, of love, of health, now wells up from us, through us, for us, filling our own lives with wonder. And that flows out into the world, bringing more and more good into being, into manifestation. I give thanks for the opportunity for us to be here together. I know that each one of us is well and flourishing. Knowing this, I turn this spiritual mind treatment over to spirit, understanding that it is already done, and inviting you to know this with me by saying together, and so it is. So thank you, everyone. And now Odie's going to come up one more time and help us sing our closing song. So please stand. It's on the back of your